In wisdom hast thou made them all. Geronda, should we destroy the swallow nests? The swallow's droppings make the area here dirty and attract bad bugs. Well, can you create a swallow nest? Look at what God has created with just His word. What harmony, what variety. Wherever one turns, one sees His wisdom and grandeur. Look at those celestial lights, the stars. With what simplicity His divine hand has scattered them in the sky, without using a plumb line and level. They give such comfort to people, whereas man-made lights, placed at regular intervals, are so tiresome. With what harmony has He designed everything. The trees of a forest that are planted by men resemble an army battalion, whereas natural forests comfort the eye. They are so peaceful and restful. There are all kinds of small and big trees, each with its own unique color and savor. Even the smallest of God's wild flowers is full of grace. But look at a bunch of fake paper flowers. There is no grace in them. It's like the difference between an island and alien. Everything that God has made is a wonder in its own right. The human body, for example, resembles a factory. God has arranged everything, the heart, the liver, the lungs, and so on, with great wisdom. Think of the wisdom with which plants are made. During the German occupation, we used to plant about 5 irrigated acres of melons. Once I cut off the big leaves that lie near the roots to clean them up, thinking that I was doing the right thing. But those big leaves serve as filters. They are the plant's kidneys that absorb its bitterness. When the melons ripened, they were so bitter that our tongues were stinging for hours. Geronda, you notice everything. We should find God in animals, in plants, in everything. How can you not admire it all? You see a tiny bird making its way to Africa and returning to find its whole nest without the use of a compass. By contrast, human beings rely on all kinds of maps and road signs, and still get lost. And it is not as if the birds walk on the earth and mark their routes as they go. They fly in the sky high above the sea. There is no path for them to follow. Small birds ride on storks like aeroplanes, to travel by aeroplane to their destination. During their journey over the sea, they land occasionally to rest on an island and then continue their journey. Once, when I was at the Calvary of Timios Stavros Holy Cross, I saw a flock of birds coming from the east that looked like sparrows, except that they were bigger and prettier. 4 or 5 birds from the flock seemed to be tired and unable to go on. At that point, about 15 other birds broke off and joined them. The rest kept on flying, and then they all stopped and rested on a tree. After a while, they all took off together. They climbed very high to get their bearings and find their flock again. What impressed me was that those 4 or 5 tired birds were not left alone, but were joined by another 15, which had broken off from their formation to keep them company. Everything that God has created is so beautiful. Have you seen how beautiful and yet varied are the colors of kittens' fur coats? We humans should be jealous. Not even queens have such beautiful coats. Wherever you turn, you encounter God's wisdom. In the old days, when everything was natural, how beautiful it all was. You see, when the rooster crows, it's not because it is telling the weather. It first sits on one leg. Then when that gets numb, it crows cockatoo. It switches legs, and when the leg gets numb, it starts crowing again. And you know, it does that at fixed intervals, at 12, at 3, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, every 3 hours. It does not have a clock or battery. It does not need vending. Everything that you observe or hear in this world, you should use to reach up to heaven. Let everything transport you on high. This is how one raises himself from creatures to the Creator. Americans went to the moon, and at least they placed a sign up there that says, "The heavens declare the glory of God." Russians went into space, but they reported Gagarin as saying that he did not find God. How could he possibly find him, since it was his feet that returned upward and not his arms? This is why some people argue that the universe was created by nature, not by God. The whole universe, here when an old machine breaks down, it takes an entire group of technicians and workmen to repair it. They think and work hard, and it's only an old piece of machinery. But God moves the entire globe without electricity. The battery never runs out, the engine never quits. The earth turns, but we don't feel its speed. Amazing. If it were to suddenly turn slower, we would all be tumbling left and right. The seas have so much water, and yet the earth moves with great speed, without spilling a drop. The stars too, with their huge mass, move with vertiginous speeds, but never collide, always keeping the same distance. And along comes a man who builds an aeroplane and glows with such pride. And then, because he gets a bit taken with his own intelligence, he talks foolishly. Truly, he does not understand anything.